Hey everyone, it's Kenji and we're gonna braise some asparagus. So it's asparagus season right now in the Northwest here, which is one of my favorite times of the year, but braised asparagus. So typically when I think of asparagus, I think of either having it very lightly blanched, you know, so that it's nice and bright green and a little crunchy, or I might think of it shaved in a salad, but braising I think is actually one of my favorite ways to do it, and it's not something that I see done very often, but it's really flavorful. I'm just snapping off the ends, you know, the whole idea that you know, the bottom part of the asparagus is woody and the top is tender. The idea that some people will tell you that it can snap, that snapping it off breaks it in the sort of natural place where the woodiness starts. It's not, it's kind of nonsense, because you can, depending on how you bend it, you can get it to snap wherever you want. But I just usually snap it a little bit above where I can see visually that it's woody. You see? And that, you know, that way I'm pretty sure I'm safe. Maybe I waste a teeny bit of it down at the bottom. You can use a knife, of course, as well. Now I'm going to peel my asparagus. So this is important, especially for braised asparagus, because you want it to be nice and tender at the bottom. And sometimes these outer areas can be a little rough. Oh, hold on a second. Sorry, I heard the back door open and it turns out the dog was trying to escape. All right, so we're peeling the bottoms of the asparagus just to get those kind of stringy, fibrous skins off. Okay, meanwhile, I'm going to preheat a pan. You want a lidded pan. It can be a skillet, it can be a saute pan like this. Anything that has a lid. You could probably even do a Dutch oven, but you want something with a relatively tight fitting lid, because we're going to be trying to trap some steam in there in a little bit. All right. Asparagus skins off. Okay, so we're going to start by searing these in the oil. I'm using olive oil. You can use any kind of neutral oil that you want. Extra virgin olive oil is fine. But if you prefer to use, you know, something more inexpensive like a canola oil, you can use a neutral oil like that, and that'll work fine. Okay, we're gonna let it brown a little bit on that side. Season with salt. Season with pepper. Only two other ingredients. One of them is stock. So I'm using a vegetable stock. This is a vegetable stock I made with carrots, onions, celery. I had some, I think an apple core that I was I cut some apple from my daughter's lunchbox, and I had the core, so I put that in the stock also, and then some mushroom scraps, bay leaf, black peppercorn. I think that's all that was in here. Cover with water and let it simmer for about, you know, vegetable stock is pretty quick. You just let it simmer for about 30-45 minutes or so. Okay. We're looking just to brown. Get a little bit of color on that first side. Maybe a little bit more than that. Should only take a minute or so. All right, so I got some nice brown color there. You can go as dark as you want. Doesn't need to be crazy brown. Just a light browning is good. Unless you want it to go crazy brown, that's fine too. Okay, I'm gonna let that second side brown just a tiny bit. And then what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna add a couple tablespoons of butter, maybe about a half cup or so of this stock. Then I'm gonna cover it immediately. All right, so we're trapping in the steam from that stock, and we're gonna allow that asparagus to slowly cook through until it's kind of nicely tender. And the sauces, you'll see when we lift the lid off this in a little bit, and then we'll reduce the sauce into a nice buttery glaze. All right, so I'm gonna let this go. It'll just take a couple minutes, so I will be back in a few minutes. Okay. I've been just giving it a little shake every once in a while just to kind of turn that asparagus over. All right, and now that's about where we're at right now. So you can see the asparagus is starting to lose its bright green color, and that's fine. This is not one of those bright green asparagus dishes. This is a kind of drab brown asparagus, olive green asparagus dish. But I promise you it's going to be delicious. All right, so we're going to just continue letting this with the lid off now. Now that the asparagus is pretty much tender through. With the lid off, we're going to let this reduce. And what we want to see is that sauce, that stock and butter emulsify and thicken up into a glaze. It's kind of like making a pasta pan sauce where, or any kind of pan sauce, if you're making a pan sauce for a steak, something like that, where if it looks too thin, right? If it doesn't look like greasy, but it looks kind of thin and watery like that, that's a sign you need to keep letting it reduce. And if it starts to look greasy, like the fat is coming out of the butter and breaking out, which is what you say when what we call a broken sauce, when the fat leaks out of it, and the fat starts to pool up in little bubbles on the surface, that's called a broken sauce. And if that happens, that means that you've reduced it too far, and there's not enough liquid, water in there to water-based liquid to emulsify the sauce properly. So you need to add a splash of water or a splash of stock. At a restaurant, typically you'd have like a speed pour, a little bottle with stock that if a sauce looks broken, you can just pour a little bit of that right into the pan and bring it back together. All right, that looks pretty good. So that's a nice sort of glazy sauce level. Okay, let me get a spoon to serve this up. All right, I got my little asparagus plate there. Okay. There you go. Let's get that sauce on there. There we go. Beautiful, huh? Some nice buttery braised asparagus. Let me just try a piece for myself. Yeah, Shelby, you get some. That was hot. So good. You get this really, intense asparagus flavor. And buttery and tender. Yeah. All right, dogs. All right, if you've never tried braised asparagus, give it a try. It's delicious. Guys, gals, non-binary pals, I will see you next time. Bye-bye. Oh, one thing I forgot to mention, if you're going to make braised asparagus like this, one of the good things about braised asparagus is that it actually is one of the few preparations of asparagus that reheats really well, even in the microwave. So you can make this a day or two in advance, or even in the early afternoon and have it for dinner. Store it in the fridge with the sauce and everything. Throw the whole container in the microwave just until the asparagus is hot, and it reheats really nicely. So another advantage of braised asparagus. All right, now I'll see you later. Bye bye.